afternoon, my friends, and it is a beautiful afternoon here in Saginaw, Michigan. It is currently 87 degrees on June 2nd, and this seems more like the dog days of summer than it does late spring. But I have a story to share with you today that was written by Mrs. Hannah Bowles, and she was the daughter of Father Sheldon, Reverend Robert P. Sheldon, and she wrote this piece originally and sent it to a Mr. Gould of the Isabella County Inquirer under the date of January 25th, 1922. And then the Michigan Pioneer and Historical Society picked it up and published it in their publication also in 1922. And she said, should this prove of interest, you may publish it. I can't imagine where this would not prove of interest to anybody interested in the history of the Native Americans in Michigan or in the United States in general. So here's what she had to say, a most harrowing and fascinating tale. The Reverend Robert P. Sheldon, Father Sheldon, was a missionary to the Indians. And he came into Isabella County in the fall of 1860, as I said, as a missionary to the Indians, and continued his good work later among all citizens until his death in 1882. In those early days when we first moved on the Indian mission, Mother was much afraid of the Indians, although the tribe that we were by was peaceful enough. There was in particular one old chief, Naw-Ge-Sac, who was of a commanding stature, haughty mien, and to her a ferocious aspect, who filled her with many misgivings, as it was said he had been on the warpath and taken scalps from the pale faces many times in his youth. To give more color to these gruesome tales, the tobacco pouch, which the chief is said to have carried, was also said to have been made of the skin of a white baby. He was much interested in the Indian school which Father taught and often visited the schoolroom. On one occasion, after having observed a proceeding of the school for some time, he decided to make a call on the schoolmaster's wife. And the missionaries' quarters were built on the side and back of the school building, and a door in the rear of the schoolroom was used by the family and opened into a small room and was used to store provisions and as a closet in which to hang clothing. Now, it was nearing the noon hour, and Mother, making preparations for dinner, came hurriedly into this room for meat, and was transfixed with horror to see the dreaded chief, with whom she had nearly collided, standing half concealed by the hanging garments. All the stories of treachery and bloodshed by the Indians rushed to her mind, and with a blood-curdling scream she rushed wildly through the house to the outer door and into the yard, where a backward look showed the chief was indeed in hot pursuit, and she fled with piercing screams into the fields beyond. The ear-splitting cries penetrated the wall of the schoolroom and brought Father and the pupils to the scene, where they joined in the mad chase, the young Indians uttering loud, excited whoops. The awful din caused her to cast a fearful backward glance, which made her increase her speed, for Naw-Ge-Sac and a horde of yelling demons were bearing down upon her. But as the chief, in spite of age, outdistanced the other pursuers. With streaming hair and gasping for breath, she stumbled on until, overcome with fatigue and terror, she fell, nearly fainting, and the chief caught her up in his brawny arms. And then he did something she didn't expect. He patted her on the shoulder, saying over and over, "No hurt, white squaw, no hurt, white squaw," until the others came, when he carried her to the house carefully. And there he explained why he was in the storeroom in the first place. He was on his way to the living room, but never having seen such clothes, he stopped to examine the beautifully ironed, starched white petticoats which hung there and partially concealed his body. Now, he came many times after, but Mother was never fearful of him again, and formed a genuine liking for Chief Naw-Ge-Sac. And that is the story that his daughter told. Kind of an interesting piece. Hard to picture what those times were like, when the whites lived in fear of the Indians and the Indians lived in fear of the whites. There had to be a constant tension, but yet there was a basis for friendship too, as you've seen in some of the stories I've already shared with you, and some of those that I'll be sharing with you in the future. So I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed bringing it to you. I love you all dearly on the other side of that monitor, and I pray God's blessing upon you, and I will see you again real soon, God willing. Take care. Enjoy these warm days, these really warm days of late spring. God bless.